I welcome to all of you for this short training program on the computer network security. I am Dr. Umesh Kulkarni, working in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering from last 14 years. I would like to welcome you from the department as well as from the Gupta Institute of Technology. Dear students, I'll be discussing about a short training on the computer network. This is the syllabus of the diploma CET for the computer networks, which is divided into two parts basically. The first part is on the networks basics, and the second part is on the computer security concepts. I'll be dealing with the computer security concepts. My colleague has discussed with respect to the networks. You can find it onto our YouTube channel and other online resources. So before I can start, this comes under the networks part, but still in order to answer the questions on the computer network security, you should be knowing the fundamentals of it. See, the students, you have to prepare the fundamentals for the examination, but rather than concentrating on high fundas, if you just go through the questions on the computer networks, I am sure out of whatever the 100 marks dedicated for the computer network, computer science part or the program specific part, so around 8 to 10 questions are dedicated for the networking. So you can say around 10 to 15% weightage is given. And if you go through the old question papers, I am sure those who have understood the basic working of these 7 layers, they will be able to answer the questions very easily. This table, keep it for the reference for you. You can definitely find many different ways of remembering, but this is the overall total, I can say, the OSI layered architecture, which should be sufficient for you people to attend the CN questions in the DCET. So you can see there are 7 layers, and if you see the first part over here, the first part is the layered part. So in this you can see the names of the layers from the top to the bottom, and in simple words what they represent, what do they do is indicated here. For example, the application layer is for it is like a window for the user, interface for the user, and whatever the applications you might have written in your final year project, or maybe whatever the applications you are using on the browser, and you might have developed some apps onto the mobile, they all come under this particular category, where this application should be able to give the access to the users to use the network services. Followed by that is the presentation layer, which takes care of the formatting of the data to be presented. For example, I want to see the contents of the website in my language, in my own way. I can use the things or the programs that implement such formatting of the data will be layered into this presentation layer. So what is the meaning of layering here? That you should understand. Okay, so the layering means you are grouping. There is nothing like a layer which you can touch and see, okay, this is the application layer. In CS, as all of you know, you cannot touch anything. It is a software. At the same time, you can say that if a program, if it performs the task as a interface to the user, you can call it as an application layer entity. Similarly, this layering has been done to what I can say, to simplify the study of the network. There is nothing called as a layered box which you can purchase somewhere and see what it is. It is nothing but the set of the it is a set of the similar programs performing similar tasks. For example, the entity at the application layer, they are something like a user applications. Okay, and presentation layer entity, you can give some examples as a what I can say, the coding schemes, right? Character coding schemes. For the session layer, you can represent something like some port logical ports like RPC and all. And for the transport layer, you can specify some protocols, transport layer protocols like TCP, UDP and all, and connection oriented and connectionless service. So like this for the other layers as well. So these layering represent the type of work do they do. It is a group of the similar programs that try to perform some similar task. Like we say as a set in set theory, a group of similar items you can say now as a set. Similarly, every layer is a group of similar programs, processes, tasks, and so on. It depends on the type of the network implementation. So application layer is for the user, presentation is for the formatting of the data, session layer for the session establishment and maintenance of the session, transport layer is related to the transportation of the messages, uh, which are to be error free and in sequence. It is also dedicated for the connection oriented and connectionless service to be given for the user. Similarly, the network layer is dedicated for transfer of the packets, and data link layer is for the error free transmission of the data frames, and physical layer is concerned with respect to the transmission and reception of the unstructured raw bit streams. So, right, so physical layer, please don't understand that as a physical wire. It is a standard that defines how the physical layer, physical communication that should happen. It doesn't represent the devices over here. Okay, so it doesn't represent anything like a communication link. You can use some devices which are designed with respect to the physical layer standards. So like this, you need to understand the basic purpose of every layer. There are some, if you see the second column over here, it represents the applications that are represented with respect to this. This is also important part of the CN as far as the CET is considered. So application layer is for whom? It is for the end user. And presentation layer, the encryption and decryption, what we do know, if it is needed, okay, sometimes it's not needed, so you can go ahead. And session layer is for the synchronization and the maintenance of the logical ports between the two entities in the network. TCP, transport layer, is dedicated for the host to host flow control and very importantly message exchange. Network layer is for the packets. You studied about the IPv4, IPv6, you might maybe studying, right? So it is nothing but everything related to the internet communication, anything related to the IPv4, IPv6 standards and all. So that comes under the network layer. So data link means designing a frame which is for the point to point connection, right? Point to point means what? One host and very immediate neighbor connected. And similarly, the physical layer is related to the cables. Now you can see here it is written here cables. What does this mean? I have said that the physical layer defines the standards for the cables and hubs. Why these things are given? Just for you to understand what do they do, where do they come, because the questions will come on this. This physical layer is also dedicated for something like a data encoding. So there are some data encoding schemes you will study it in the computer networks in the engineering. And followed by this, the next important question that can be asked on the layering is on the applications, right? So what are the applications? User applications which run at each one of these layers. One of them is the first one is the application layer, SMTP, FTP, HTTP. All these protocols will be the application layer entities, and the formats of data representation, compression, and all those things will come under this presentation layer. Next is the session layer, the remote procedure calls, which we use it in some network programming, in the Java network programming, C network programming, or NetBIOS names also, or NFS. So there the session, they come under the session layer entities. Transport layer, very simple, it is the TCP and UDP, connection oriented protocols and connectionless protocols. Connection oriented represents a connection establishment should happen before it can communicate, but UDP connectionless means that doesn't mean that there is no connection. Remember this, connectionless means there is a communication happening between the two entities, but there is no establishment of the connection before it can happen. Okay, that is the connection oriented and connectionless. Routers, so whatever the ICMP protocol and internet protocol that we are using, so they come under the part of the network layer, and the routers are the devices or the protocols which do the task of the network layer. So what do? They route the packets in a correct position. So we use some algorithm for this one. Dijkstra's algorithm is one of the famous algorithm for the routing. Many other algorithms are there. And similarly, in the data link layer, we have the switch, bridge, and other devices which will implement the task of a network data link layer. Similarly, we have the hub also. They combine the work of the physical and the data link layer, right? And this is totally dependent on the type of the network implementation that we are using. So these are the devices that come under each of the layer. Okay, and if you might have heard about the gateway, SMS gateway. Those who are developing the mobile app, the SMS gateway, that is the one important task of implementation. You should thank the SMS gateway APIs that you have used it for the mobile application development, that they implement all the required tasks for the 7 layers of the OSI, right? So if you, in a nutshell, if you try to represent these 4 layers, these 7 layers, right, the first top 3 layers, they are implemented in the form of a process, and the transport layer represents the host to host communication. Network layer is dedicated for the internet communication, and data link layer and physical layer for the network establishment, network maintenance, and the frame communication that happens. So this is about the OSI layer, but this is not the OSI layer which you have to remember for the network security. My part is on the network security. So OSI security architecture is little different. What is that architecture? The architecture represents, you have the OSI layer with you. After the communication starts, what are the 3 important aspects? Not 3, it could be many. So what are the main important part of the security model for the OSI network which you have already designed? So you have designed the network here. Okay, you have designed the network. The next thing is you have to provide the security, because all of you know the need of the security. So there has to be a security given. Now you cannot say this is the way I am going to design the security. You have to have some standards which everybody follows. So ITU-T is one of the standard making authority, global authority for the internet standard. So they have proposed this as a security architecture for OSI, and which has 3 parts in it: security attack, right? Security attacks, security mechanisms, or security controlling mechanisms, and security services. What is a security attack? How does it come in the security architecture of the OSI? It is nothing but the types of the attack that come under that come under the consideration for providing the better communication between the 2 bodies. Okay, and similarly we have the security mechanisms. What mechanism? Right, you are incorporating to detect, prevent, or recover from a security attack. So the first part of the security is security attacks, where you are trying to find out the types of attacks possible at every layer of the OSI. Similarly, the next one is security services. So after you have detected the security in the first part, you have designed the controlling mechanism for it, then you have to go for enhancing the security of the data. So you might have heard about the cyber security. There is a very good scope for the cyber security. We have also included that in our curriculum. Those who are interested, you can take it as a honors or the minors course for the cyber security. You can do a certification on that. So what does that mean for? So you have designed the security mechanism or controlling mechanisms. Now you have to enhance it such that no future attacks can breach the communication happening between the 2 entities, right? So this is the basic security architecture model defined by the ITU-T, who has also defined this 7-layer architecture for the network. This is a 7-layer network architecture, and these are the 3 points of the network security that can be given for a 7-layer network architecture of the OSI. Now at this moment, let me tell you, you might have heard about the TCP/IP architecture also. see the OSI, the difference between the OSI and the TCP is, see, whatever the tasks that are needed for the network implementation, communication, design, they all have to be there in any of the layers or the network implementation, network design. But as far as the TCP and OSI is considered, OSI is a, what I can say, a reference model. It's not a practically designed model. It's like a reference to someone who wants to design a good quality network. TCP/IP, it has taken the inputs from the OSI and it has combined the top 3 layers into one, and top 4 layers into one, and remaining network, data link layer and physical layer. Okay, that is the TCP/IP model. So TCP/IP model is the model which is practically implemented and used everywhere, right? And it has taken the references from the OSI reference model itself. So the difference in the OSI and TCP/IP model is, OSI is the reference model which is not implemented as it is, but its reference is taken to implement a physically existing model called as a TCP/IP model. Physically existing doesn't mean that there is a device you can go and touch. Always remember this. So it's like an implemented model, right? And now let me go for when we talk about the security. It's a very upcoming and very challenging and a very broader, I can say, broader concept, where implementing a total security is very, very difficult. So there are 3 main goals of the security. When you talk about the information security, that's very important. We are talking about the information security, but not the physical security. When we talk about the information security, 3 important goals have to be set before it can be designed. You might have done some projects on denial of service attacks, Sybil attack, wormhole attacks. So such attacks have been implemented, but have these attacks been implemented with respect to these 3 goals? The first goal is the integrity. What is the integrity? It is shown in the figure, you can see here. I wanted to transfer 1,000 rupees to a person of a bank B, and my message was captured by someone like a attacker, who changed it to 1,000 to be transferred to C. So actual root of the message was breached. So the integrity has gone. The second one is the confidentiality. So what is the confidentiality? You can see integrity means only intended person should receive my message. Confidentiality means I am not leaking the information, right? So for example, I have some data, I have some key or a PIN number being shared. That number is to be sent to the next person. I have a message called as hello. I'm an authorized person. I am sending that using a key encryption mechanism. I'll discuss that in the short time. And I'm just trying to send it, and an unauthorized person trying to send some information which is encrypted in the same form to the receiver to see that I am the authentic person, but this he is not an authentic person. So the private key, the private key and the public key has been used by the receiver to decrypt the message received from both of them. The message received from the authorized person will be decrypted properly and accepted, right? So that is the confidentiality. So my intended message was only received by the message is only received by the authentic person. So what does this mean? See, there is one sender want to send a hello message, which is going to use a key to encode. So you have generated some encrypted data, and then it is sent to 2 persons. One of them is authenticated person with the key to decrypt this, and another is unauthenticated person. Unauthenticated person will not be able to see that because he is unauthenticated. So this is a kind of a confidentiality. What did I do? The message that I intended is accepted by many but understood by only the authorized person. That is the confidentiality. So this is also called as a confidentiality when data is in motion, because the data that we are sending lively, it is the confidentiality is maintained in live. Availability, when we say about the security, you cannot say that the security is available 10 to 5 or it is available in some slot. It should be always available for the user, right? So if it is not available, then denial of service attack will happen. That is, one person is requesting, authorized person is requesting for a service from this particular server, you can see, but this server is saying I am not giving you a service. Why? Because this is the attacker who has compromised the server, and it is saying that the service is not provided. So when we hack the websites of some banks, so the service is denied, it is because of such things. Okay, so always when we try to design an information security model, we should think of the integrity, confidentiality, and the availability of the data, availability of the security mechanisms. Okay, so each one of them will lead for many different attacks in themselves. So to cope up with these integrity, confidentiality, right, so we have some key encryption mechanisms. Just remember this figure. So it represents encryption mechanisms which is implemented at different layers, but this is more specific for the computer science students in order to understand the cryptography. So how the cryptography came into picture over here? It is nothing but cryptography, as all of you know, is a study of the way in which you can encrypt the data, which can be only understood by the authentic person. That is the study of that, the study of such a encryption and decryption mechanisms, where we have the symmetric key, asymmetric key. So symmetric key means it is there is a one key used for encryption and decryption, and asymmetric means there are two keys, the public key and private keys are used. A public key is one which is given to everyone to encrypt the data, and the private key is used to decrypt the data. The only intended user can decrypt the data. Sometimes this asymmetric key mechanisms, key encryption mechanisms, are also called as public key encryption mechanisms. Symmetric keys are also called as the private key encryption mechanisms, or a security key encryption mechanisms. So in the symmetric we have block ciphers, that is these are going to convert the block data. Large amount of, large means not as large as GB, large amount of data is converted, like 1 KB, 1 MB amount of data is directly converted to encrypted text. What is a cipher? Encrypted text. And a stream means the streams of the bit streams, means a stream of the characters, means character wise it is converted, it is encrypted and sent into the network. So these are the different algorithms that are existing. So what I insist, discussing every algorithm is very difficult, so you try to concentrate on the DES, 3DES algorithms, and in the stream cipher RC4 is sufficient, and in the asymmetric key mechanisms RSA, Diffie-Hellman and DSA algorithms. Okay, they are not very difficult, you can just concentrate, you can just read that. These are the years from where it was implemented, and of course they were existing long back, but they were implemented practically at different times depending on the increase in the network attacks. So this is about the cryptography, a little bit of introduction to the security. With that I'll try to go for the first sample question. Okay, so what did I thought of before preparation of this particular content is, instead of I discussing the syllabus which you have already studied, attended the classes, attended the exams, and you have passed, the theory will be known to you. You have to prepare from the CET perspective, where we concentrate on the concepts rather than the concepts and the outcome of the concepts rather than the theoretical part of it. Look at the first question. So I have not written the year and all those things. These are from the last 3 to 4 years. Okay, the questions that I am taking. So they are not very old. So you can just refer to these old question papers. You can find these questions. So the question is, the first question. Okay, the first question is, dash is used to establish the slowest type of network connection. See, don't go for the grammar here. Okay, please don't concentrate on the grammar. It is you have to understand whatever the meaning that is being planned to make you people to understand. Don't go for the grammar, because if you talk about the grammar, the question and the answers will never be relevant to each one of them. So dash type of network, dash is used to establish a slowest, The meaning is you have 4 types of networks given here. What is that? Dial-up modem, bridge, router and DSL. These are the 4 network connections. Which one is the slowest? That's it. So this way you are supposed to think. So the answer is A, but that's not sufficient for the CET preparation. What you are supposed to do? What is a dial-up modem? What is a bridge? What is a DSL? What is a router? This way you should start your preparation. If you start reading books and books, you have to read the books. You should have the fundamentals. Fundamentals are already there with you. Okay, so you have to concentrate on every concept, the way it is designed, the concept from the practical perspective. The only simple tip for the CET preparation is the practical way of understanding a concept, a word that represents the practicality from every application and every topic. So what is a dial-up modem? What is a bridge? So I have just written here, you all can read. This is not the way to design a slide, but without this you cannot understand the importance of every concept. Keeping that in mind, I have prepared. So a dial-up is the slowest kind of thing. It is used to dial up a separate phone line from one user to another. Separate phone line is given via the telephone internet service provider, and the maximum speed is 56 kbps. Don't confuse with this dial-up connection with respect to the dialing of the mobile numbers or the telephone numbers. So dial-up modem is, we have a modem device between the telephone and the internet using device in order to use the internet connection from the same cable. And because of all this circuit setup, no, it becomes very slow. Similarly, we have the bridges. Bridge is another network interfacing device which can be used to connect the two networks. So within a network, within a big network, like in our GIT, we have big networks. Some of two or three labs or the networks are connected via bridge. Or a network service is divided or it is shared between the devices using the bridge. So it is necessary to divide the network into subnets to reduce the amount of traffic. That is, we have more than 1,000 connections, direct wired connections in our GIT. So if you have such a connection connected directly to the service provider, it's very difficult to manage. It's not impossible, it is difficult to manage. So we have to divide that into smaller networks called as subnets to reduce the traffic. Okay, so that is the bridge. A bridge functions by blocking or forwarding the data. Looking at the availability of the networks, the bridge is going to perform. Because of such a blocking and forwarding, it becomes little faster than dial-up, right, but slower than DSL. What is a DSL? Digital subscriber line is a modem technology that uses the existing telephone lines for high bandwidth. If you go for 10 to 15 years before, we were having the modems which are of very large size and lots of networks were there. But now these present modems have been designed to have a point-to-point public network access, and the same modem can be used and the telephone line can be used to access the internet as well as the calls. So this has around as you know, the network plans, you may know it from some network service provider, wire network service providers like Mbps. So it will be in the form of Mbps. With the routers, we have the, what we can say, with the routers we have, with the fiber optic network we can have even the Gbps, but it's very costly for a domestic user. Similarly, the router is a device which receives and sends the data or forwards the data packets from the network layer, right? So routers are sometimes confused with the hubs, modems or network switches, right? A router is something like, you can say, a combination of all this, or a modem or a network switch. It can do all the task of all these components also. It is basically to forward the data or the packet to a best path that is available. Okay, now just concentrate on what the examiner want you to know about the network connection. See, dial-up modem is one device, bridge is also a device, and DSL is a type of a network connection. Router is also a type of a device. When you have three devices and one network connection, then how this has been added here? So here you should understand what the examiner want to ask. They want to ask the speed at which these devices can run. So dial-up modem is very slowest, which can work with the data of kbps. It could be storing or sending, or it could be communication. Bridge, little more faster than the dial-up modem. DSL, even more faster in the form of Mbps, Gbps. Router, as you require. It may be from the Mbps to Gbps also, but they are very faster than these. So the speed at which they work with the data is what the intention of the examiner to be asked to you. So another important concept that you are supposed to understand. So there are two concepts. One of them is the speed at which the networking concepts, devices, protocols, or what I can say, the network connections they work with. That is the what I can say, the concept that the examiner wanted to evaluate from you. First concept. Second concept is, do we have the network connections, communication connections? Yes, from slowest to fastest. So we have just written here from fastest to slowest. This is also one question, you can go through that. Fiber optic, as all of you know, Jio is providing a fiber optic to all of to the whole India. So everywhere you can have this. Now the problem of the speed of the data will be taken care in the days to come. Okay, so Jio fiber. So fiber to dial-up. Dial-up means this dial-up, the first one. So fiber communication, fiber optics cable have the highest speed to transfer the data in the form of Gbps. Cables also have, but one fiber have 50 Gbps to 100, right? Cables in the form of single digit Gbps to 100 Mbps to 1 Gbps, 2 Gbps. Satellite is little slower, but it can also communicate with a good amount of data. Digital subscriber line. Then wireless. See, wireless, when we say 4G, 5G, we have very high speed of data. No, it is not. It is very less. It is little more than the dial-up modem, because the wireless connection, there is a lots of attenuation or disturbance in the network communication, because the signal is traveling through air, and air may have lots of disturbances. Even the wired connection also has the disturbances, but wireless communication has more, because it is a connectionless service. So this concept you should understand. That is, in the connection, if you list the devices, which is the slowest communication device, fastest communication device. If you talk about the communication channel or communication, what I can say, device, communication mode, then you can say fiber optics to dial-up. This is the way you have to prepare. So that is on one type of the connection. Next one is, look at this. The process of expecting privacy by both the sender and the receiver is called as expecting the privacy by both sender and receiver. So it is confidentiality. So what do we expect? The meaning of confidentiality, right? So both sender and receiver is called as a message confidentiality. What is the meaning of that? When a message is sent from the sender expects that it should be received only by the receiver. If it is received by the others also, it should not be easy to decrypt or understand what it is, right? So, but the concept, please understand the concept here. There are four concepts: message integrity, authentication, sharing, and confidentiality, right? So A and C, these two are what? The two important parts of the network security model. I have discussed it now. Here, this is that the three goals of the information security: integrity and confidentiality. Okay, so what is the integrity, right? Message integrity describes the concept of ensuring that the data has not been modified in the transmission. Okay, integrity means nobody has modified. I am sending 1,000 rupees to my friend, so it is not going to somebody unknown person. So what is that? You can see this example. See, it is what is happening here. I am sending it to B, but the message has been changed. Instead of B, the account number has been changed to the account number of C. So that is integrity, right? Nobody should change in between. That is the message integrity, right? So in order to implement this, one of the example is the hashing algorithms. Hashing, what does it do? It will take as input some whatever the amount of data you can transfer. For example, a file can be converted into a hashing. So there are a good number of hashing algorithms you can implement, study. So the hashing is used for the message integrity. So you can expect a question saying that a message integrity can be implemented using hashing algorithms, right? Better implemented using hashing algorithms. You can have your own way to implement the network security. Nobody stops. But the better, appropriate, you have to select. The second option is message authentication. See, integrity means what? My message is not modified by anyone in the transmission. Second, authentication. It is like a digital authentication to whatever that I'm trying to share using some digital signature or some keys, right? It is used as an integrity check based on the secret key shared by two parties. See, you have sent a message from A to B, but it was received by B. For example, I will just take a simple example. If a message has been sent from A to B, right, and A is authentic, B is authentic, then how B will ensure that it is a authentic sender? That is the message authentication. So the sender will indicate some kind of identity of itself to show that I am the authentic sender. And for this, some keys are used to represent. Digital signature is also one of that, right? So authentic. So I have received, let us say, you might have received some messages from the bank saying that we are not asking for the pins and all. Okay. If somebody is asking for some service information, if it is from the intended user or not, how to check? So authentication will help in that. Then that is the message authentication. The next one is the confidentiality. That is, as I have told to you, whatever I am sending, whatever the message going from the intended sender should go to intended or expected receiver only. So the message must be a garbage to all the others. If they receive also, no problem, let them receive, but it should not be decrypted, should not be breached, it should not be misused. And for implementation of the message confidentiality, right, so we have the key encryption decryption mechanisms. So that comes under the cryptography, that is the symmetric key, asymmetric key mechanisms. No, so they are used for message confidentiality. Getting it? So that's very important. I have just shown a figure over here. This represents a public key and a private key. So any one of the system methods can be used. Let me tell you, the one which is more stronger when we talk about the encryption and decryption mechanisms used for the message confidentiality implementation, only the private key encryption mechanisms or symmetric key methods in this. These are not as strong as asymmetric key encryption mechanisms. Getting it? Why? Because if a private key is being breached in the symmetric, it's gone. But in the asymmetric key, the design of the algorithm or the protocols is such that it is the key can be regenerated, but the time required to generate the key will be very, very large, which will make the whole effort of decrypting the data, right, or breaching the data or breaking the secured communication will be very large. So for example, RSA algorithm is using very large key. If you want to breach the key or try to crack the data which is encrypted using the RSA algorithm, then it will take around years to do that. So for key encryption mechanism, it is very important to know that the size of the key should be very, very large. The size of the key should be very, very large. And the next one is, what is message sharing? It's simple. We have to share whatever the information we are having, right? For example, I want to send a message which is encrypted using a key. I want to share the key. So how will you share the key? Will you call somebody and tell that this is a key, you use it for the communication? No. So there has to be some better way of sharing the key also in the communication itself. So the second question concentrates on what security you will be providing for the messages. The first question is on the type of the communication connection, network devices, the speed of the network. This is the security of the network. If you concentrate on these four, I am sure minimum 2 to 3 questions you will be able to attempt. If you are clear with these four concepts, minimum 2 to 3 questions you can attempt, and you will give the correct answers for them, right? The next question, let's see. Again, this is also on what I can say. This is also on the network security, right? So the purpose of the digital signature, a very upcoming field. Maybe in the future we all have to have a digital signature for our document that we write, that we generate, right? So what are the answers? Confidentiality, we have discussed it already. Then the authentication and non-repudiation, both B and C. See, I have told you now, authentication means what? Is it from an authentic sender? My friend has sent a message. Is it from the true friend, or it is from some different claiming that it is from this? Okay, I will tell you a simple example that presently, because of the low network security implementation, you can send an email from one person to another without the information of the sender. So for example, A want to send an email to B, right? Now A and B both are authentic, fine. But if a attacker or some other person, let us say C, want to send a message to B saying that I am A, it is possible presently. So we should have good websites used. We should have the better security mechanisms implemented. Okay, so what is non-repudiation? This is a new concept we are trying to study from this question. So it is an assurance that the sender of the information is provided with the proof of delivery, and recipient is provided with the proof of the sender's identity. Look at that, both of them. So neither can later deny having processed the information. What is the meaning of this? This is little unique, no? Let us see. Hello. See, this example you can see. Okay, what is that? Proof. I did the transfer, but that wasn't the amount. Look at that. Somebody is transferring the amount. What they are saying is they have actually transferred the amount of $500, right? But they are saying later that I have not, I did the transfer, but that wasn't the amount. See, actually what they are supposed to do, they are supposed to transfer $1,500 of dollars, but they are saying that, see, I have transferred it, but how come it is 15? How come it is 500? I don't know. This is what they are claiming. Understood this? I'll just repeat once again. See, this person has to transfer $1,500, but he is transferring $500, which is not correct. Bank has received, everything is fine, but they are saying that no, I have transferred $1,500, but you are saying 500. I don't know what happened in between, but I have transferred 500. So to avoid this, the non-repudiation should happen. Repudiation means what? I am trying to say that I have given to you how much. I have given 10 rupees to you, but you are saying that it is 5 rupees. I don't know what happened. I have given you a note of 10 rupees only. So that is the repudiation. So non-repudiation of the data should happen, and this can happen only when you are sure about the message. That's why when you are doing a digital money transfer, right? So there will be different levels of what I can say, different levels of confirmations being done from you. Then only the transfer happens, otherwise it is not going to happen. So that's the reason if you go to a bank to withdraw some money or deposit some money, you may say that today you have 1,000 rupees balance, you have withdrawn 900 rupees, and tomorrow you will come, I have not withdrawn. So the proof is there. So that is non-repudiation. You cannot say that I have not withdrawn. This is a proof, right? So that is how the repudiation happens. So we should see that the non-repudiation is taken care in the network communication. Getting it? And similarly, the other thing, the authentication, the person who is giving is authenticated, you are sure about it. And confidentiality, as we discussed in the last slide, last question, right? So the concept remains the same. So the new concept, non-repudiation, right? So this is another new concept that you are supposed to understand. Fine. Digital signature is not used for non-repudiation, but it is used for the the digital signature is used for the non-repudiation and authentication both, but not for the confidentiality, right? So when you sign and give, you are telling that you are sure, you are confirmed, you can't say no. So it is both, right? That's why digital signature is gaining more and more importance in the present day. In the future, it will be compulsory for everyone to have a digital signature for digital data transmission. Next important question, this is on the cryptography. So the question is simple. The process of deciphering is called as, very simple, it is a cryptanalysis. Now you will say that I know all these concepts, scripting or cryptology, cryptography, all of them are same, but they are not same. Look at them, they are not same. They are not same. Little difference is there. So let's see what is that difference. So first of all, we'll start from the small part of the encryption and decryption, then we will go for the larger part. Means what? I'll start from the small concept and we'll go for a larger concept. The first small concept out of these four options is the cryptography. B, the option B. What is cryptography? Making of secret codes. You are trying to generate a secret code. Like in the olden days, the kings used to send some messages through the transmitters, right? So even the transmitter wants to read it, they cannot understand. It can only be understood by another king, intended king only, right? That is the cryptography, making of secret codes, right? So cryptography doesn't mean that you are studying the encryption and decryption and everything related to the security. No, it is just making of the secret codes. How do you make it? That is cryptography. Then the next concept is cryptanalysis, breaking of the secret code without being told the key. You are not told about the key. One king sending the information to another king, one person sending information to another, which cannot be understood by anybody, but still I will make some attempts to understand and decrypt what it is. That is cryptanalysis. Cryptanalysis even includes the study of making of the secret codes, because if you don't know how the secret code is generated, you cannot break it. So cryptography, making; cryptanalysis, breaking; cryptology, art of making and breaking together. Look at that. Making, breaking, making and breaking, both. Cryptology. That is what the cryptology is. So, but it is misused in the day-to-day discussion as cryptography is nothing but the study of the encryption and decryption mechanisms and so on. But it is just making of secret codes, cryptography. Cryptanalysis is breaking of the secret codes, but it requires the knowledge of making also. And cryptology is the art of making and breaking both together, right? So this is what the attackers do. They will be good at the cryptology, right? Then the last one is crypting. It is a name given to all of them. Like I am making the secret code, breaking the secret code, making and breaking the secret code. I am doing the study of that. That is called as crypting. He is good at crypting. That is all of them. So the answer for this question is deciphering is called as. Deciphering means decrypting. Ciphering means encryption. Deciphering means decryption. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to break the secret code. We are trying to decrypt the secret code. What is the secret code? It is an encrypted data. What is the data? Do you know this? Yes, this is very important. The data means it's very difficult. You may say that it is an information, which is wrong. So data is nothing but it is a meaningful collection of the values, and a meaningful collection of the data is called as an information. See, this question will never be asked till you complete the engineering also, but assuming that you know this, but the data is different, information is different, values are different. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to prepare the questions related to the security. I have made some attempt to just give some brief introduction. I will just summarize what did I discuss. I discussed with you the OSI structure in a simple nutshell. What are the main tasks of each of the layers and the applications that run or the device that are going to work at each layer, and the OSS security architecture model. So why I have introduced this one is there are some questions asked. The OSS security architecture has, so they will have these three options and last one will be none. So you have to see this. And the three goals of the information security we have discussed, that is integrity, confidentiality. So you have to go on studying about these concepts, the mechanisms related to this. The questions will be asked on that. Then the cryptography, which is a main part of the network security. Then we have a first question which is on the connections and connecting devices. So the basic concept here is the types of the connections and the type of the connecting devices. Type of connections means what? There are two different types of connections. There are two different ways to interpret that. One of them is the wireless connection and wired connection. This is one thing. And another in connecting devices. Okay. So basically the evaluators will be, the examiners will be concentrating on your knowledge about the speed of the data which they use to process. Okay, that is what they are interested to see. In the second question, we have discussed about the security to be given to the data. There are four important concepts. You have to understand these basic four important privacy or security providing mechanisms. That is more than sufficient for the preparation for the network security part. Third one is again on a new concept called as non-repudiation. That is a digital signature. So please study the digital signature. It's an upcoming buzzword in the networking field. Then the next one is the concept of cryptography, cryptanalysis, right? Cryptology. So we cleared the meaning between this. So all these questions are from the old question papers. So I have made an attempt for you to understand the way you have to prepare for a particular concept rather than just going on studying everything. So you have already studied. You should not study this again and again. You should study from the practical perspective of every concept. So that's how you have to prepare. So finally, with this summary, I would like to give you some tips. So listen carefully. See, the CET syllabus is so much big. How can I prepare for everything? I studied from semester 1 to semester 6 of my diploma, 3 years. How can I remember everything? Don't remember everything. Why you are remembering? It's not possible also. It's possible, but we have to make our mind to that level. So, there will be some 6 to 7 main subjects for you. So, what you are supposed to do? Make 1 or 2 papers of notes for every subject. That's more than sufficient. So how will you do it? Take a paper and take a subject, your own book, textbook. Don't be dependent on what I can say, heavily paid training tutorials and all. So that's not needed. If there are some free coachings, you can take it and prepare. So simple tip. So take a concept, let us say a point A. Make a notes of every subject, take a point A. Now how this point A is related to, is it related to something else? Yes, it is linked to B. Okay, what is B? Understand this either from the textbook or from some internet resources or some other resources. Okay, this B is linked to something else. For example, if we talk about this scripting, so if I start from the cryptography, making of secret codes, okay, when there is a making, there will be breaking. When there is a making and breaking, there could be both of them. When there is a making, breaking and both of them, then what exactly this is called as? That is scripting. Look at that. So point A linked to point B. Just go on writing it in simple words which you can understand. You need not worry about the way you write, what you write, right? You just have to worry about what is being linked to whom. This is the first important preparation for CET, not only CET, for any exams. Let me tell you, I was attending one of the examination on the networking and some other subjects, right? Very recently, some 1 or 2 or 3 years back. The subject was so vast that if you see your subject, the portion will be half of that, half of a book, but it is a portion. It was a portion of 700 pages, 3 books I had to prepare, and we have to study everything, which is very difficult. So what did I do? I took a paper, written a point A, linked it to point B, point C, point D, like that. The circle, what I can say, that particular loop will be somewhere you have to stop. It's not like you have to go dot 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 like continuously. No, you have to stop somewhere and then you have to come back for the next point. This is how you have to go for it, and be confident. Nothing will happen, right? Nothing will happen if you are confident in answering. If you, I'll tell you, you just prepare this, you will be able to attempt any question in the CET, and you will get a confidence also. And the next important thing, as most of the students do, they don't prepare for the whole syllabus. If you prepare in this way, not any syllabus in the world will not be a big thing. But still, if you are trying to restrict yourself to some sections, don't do that. But if even if you restrict, so start answering the questions of that sections first, right? Then one more important thing, don't waste your time just by sticking to one question which you were knowing, but you are not able to answer it, you were not able to get the answer of that. Don't do that. So just leave it. And this is a better tip to have a very pleasant life also in a day-to-day activity. Don't waste our time sticking to only one thing. We should move on. The next important point, that is prepare for these following things properly, okay, with respect to the networking. Okay, because I have concentrating on the network security, I should tell this. The layers, 7 layers, right, in the CN, if you prepare for these things properly, a single page of notes is more than sufficient for this, as I have said here. So list out the layers and functionalities of the layers and the protocols which, if related to that layer, list out it, list out the protocol. You can use that the figure that I have shown in the beginning, right? And the basic meaning of the networking. What is the networking? Networking, whether it is like a data transmission, no, networking in terms of generic terms, it is communication between two. One person is connected to another, then you can call it as a network. But when we talk about the computer network, it is different. Mobile network, it is different. So what is the basic meaning of the networking? Then the cryptography, this last question, cryptography, right? Making of the secret codes. So what is the meaning of cryptography, how it is implemented, at what layer of OSI it is implemented, right? And the practical applicability of the cryptographic techniques, right? So this is how you can prepare for your computer networks as well as the computer network security, right? Remember, you are not studying networking, you are studying computer networking and computer network security. So you should first understand the title of the topic and proceed. So if you have any doubts related to the computer networking, I am available at this particular address. This is my email ID, this is my mobile number. So you all can communicate via email or a mobile number for any doubts related to the CN for the CET preparation. Okay, with this I would like to complete, I would like to wind up my session. So all the very best for your exams and have a very bright future. Try to attend the CET with confidence and try to get a very good institution, try to get into good institutions like our college, and you'll have a very good future. Thank you one and all. So stay home, stay safe, and be confident in answering. With this, I'll try to stop my session. So I would like to thank the KLS management and the principal sir and the HOD sir of our CSA department for giving me an opportunity to share my a bit of knowledge in the field of computer networking and security. Thank you one and all.